What is your name and where are you from?
Um, I'm young Samo. Uh, Others call me God. No, I'm just kidding. I'm young Samo. I'm from the Bronx,
Uh-huh.
all over New York City.
Yeah.
I don't really have a location. I just go anywhere, and I just,
Yeah.
have my home.
So what is the difference between the Bronx and Manhattan?
The difference between the Bronx and Manhattan.
Yeah.
Well, Manhattan, it's like it's not really neighborhoods out here anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you look back in the days, like when you go before like New York started getting gentrified, like you see like there's actually neighborhoods in these like in this borough. But when you go to the Bronx, like there's gentrification is still there, but like there's actually like a community. And like people going through a lot of hectic shit. The real thing I realized about Manhattan is when you come to Manhattan, nobody's from Manhattan. Like nobody. Everybody's from somewhere else. You go to the Bronx, everybody's from the Bronx. So I don't know. I just like be observant of my surroundings, and just try to like, understand people and get to know people and just hear where people are coming from.
Yeah. You come to this park often?
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people here?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to tell us some stories about some interesting people you've met here?
Well, I met this guy who actually, I don't know if he lives at the park anymore, but he lived at the park for a while. His name was, he called himself Jesus. And he was mad cool. Like I was sitting over there on the other side of the park, and he just sat next to me, and he saw me rolling up. He was like, "Oh, you guys have any weed?" And I said, "Yeah." Just gave him like 2 nugs, and he just sat down and like talked to us. I saw him like a couple weeks after, and he was like sitting over by like the grass and shit, and he was just throwing around like this stick, and it was like he like grabbed it straight from like the roots because it was dying, and like he was just he was saying like, something about like how the earth has its own like song. It's like the way you move the branch. It's like you got to move it in a certain way because it moves in its own pace in its own direction. And so when he gave me the branch and I started moving it, I started seeing what he was saying, and it's just like everything has its own language, everything is music, and like you just have to be able to empathize with whatever you're doing.
All right. Now, a lot of New Yorkers are moving out of New York. Do you know anyone who's left, and where are they going?
Do I know anyone that left? Nah, not really.
So everybody's still around.
Yeah, I've been also kind of out the loop, like with Corona and everything. I've been just trying to get my life together too. So it's like the friends that I do have, like these are my brothers. That's Steph, that's Rob, that's me, and a couple of my other brothers are missing. But like, we all just here. We're trying to make the best of the situation that's here. So, anybody that left was probably not meant to be here in the first place.
Yeah, a lot of people moving down to Florida.
Yeah, but it's worse in Florida though. People don't understand. It's like,
yeah,
But I love New York. I don't think I'll probably ever leave. I have like a love-hate relationship with the city because I'm going through like the worst shit here. But like at the same time, like I try to appreciate it for what it is because it's there's a lot of beauty within the ugliness.
Yeah. It's definitely takes a special kind of nose to sniff that out.
Yeah, for sure. You got to be willing to go through the bullshit in order to smell the roses.
Yeah, exactly. I like that quote. I think I'm gonna put that on TikTok, and I'm gonna put that on Instagram too.
I appreciate it.
All right, now, do you have any tattoos?
No,
No tattoos.
no, but I have plans of what I want to get.
Okay, what do you want to get? What does it mean to you?
So, on my wrist or even my arm, I want to get a crown, a 3-point crown. The 3-point crown has like been very symbolic and significant in like my life, like the past 2 years. Just kind of like coming to terms, like when you know who I am. I used to look down on myself a lot, so like to be able to just sit down and be like, yo, I'm a king. It's like something you don't hear often because most people don't look at themselves like kings. They just look at themselves as this speck going through like life. So. I don't know. That I also have a brand called Evolve or Die. Basically, like the meaning of it is like, evolve spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, every day. Or what's the point of living, And like, I try to live by that every day, and I try to. Every action I take is like, all right, like, is this helping me grow? So, yeah.
You'll be the third king on here.
Thank you.
I've had two other kings on here.
I appreciate it.
No, but their names really were
Yeah, we're
king.
king, yeah.
Okay, next question. What is your biggest accomplishment in life?
Breathing.
Just breathing.
Being alive after just life wants to throw a bunch of shit at your face, you know, like this as long as I'm breathing, I feel like that's my biggest accomplishment. You know, like as long as I'm helping people, as long as I'm like always being empathetic and selfless, you know, like I try my best to just like put myself in other shoes. I think that might be my best accomplishment, like just being able to be empathetic with people, you know.
That's great. Now, have you had any game changers in your life? Anything to change the way you live your life? Something
Yeah.
happened to you?
Actually, this past 2 months, I'm originally from New York. I was like born and raised like in the Bronx, Mount Vernon area, and you know, I was living out in Cali for like 3 months before this, and like I was out there from August to October. Some things happened. I came back, you know, and like it changed my life forever. But it put me on a path that I think was important for me to go through because it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me that like, yo, like don't be afraid of nothing. Like don't ever worry about nothing. Like don't care about what other people think about you. Like just keep doing you. As long as you're not hurting nobody, and as long as you're not as long as your intentions are always pure, and as long as you know like, hey, I'm a human. I fuck up sometimes, but I'm here. You know, it's like you gotta keep that in mind. And I feel like that was like a real game changer for me. Like all the struggles I went to was good to go through because like it was like that pain and then that release, and that release is even better because it helps you even look back and be like, hey, I got through that, you know. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like that was probably one of them.
You remind me of another guy that's on my channel. His name is Alchemist. You gotta check out his video and hopefully
But,
y'all can connect.
but
Now, how important is marriage to you? If at all.
I don't know, I've had some like experiences recently that have like showed me that marriage doesn't really mean shit. You know, like you can put a ring on somebody's finger and they'll still treat you like shit, you know what I mean? But like it's all about it's not about the label, it's all about the connection you and that person have, and like being in the moment with that person is all that matters. And like I don't know if I get married. I probably wouldn't, probably will, who knows? But like I know like whoever I'm gonna be with is like that person has to treat me right, you know? Like I gotta make sure like I'm there for that person as well, you know? It doesn't matter about the label, where we at with the situation. It's just like, yo, are you nice to me? Like, you know what I mean? That's it. Are you nice to me?
Yeah. Now, ancestry, how important is that to you?
I think like it's very important. I feel like we can learn a lot about just where you come from. Like you just learn about a lot about yourself and like your family history and just, you know, not even just family, but just yourself in general. You know, it's just like your ancestors play a big role in where you're at. You know, so like it makes you like kind of be like, all right, well, where I'm at, I want to make sure like my offsprings are good in the future, so I'm gonna make sure I'm good now, you know? And like, yeah.
You the type of guy to look up your DNA and your ancestry?
Maybe one day. Probably not now, but like if the situation ever came, I probably would, you know? Just like, hey, I'm curious, you know? I know my mom has told me like, I'm originally from Jamaica, so like my mom told me like our tribe originates back in Nigeria. I don't know how accurate that is, but like that's interesting to me. Like, you know, just knowing where everything always comes from somewhere, and then even when you find out where it comes from, it always comes from somewhere else too. So it's like you can't ever really pinpoint an origin of something because everything is created and recreated all the time.
Now, you come to this park often?
Yeah.
What is the strangest thing anyone's ever said or done to you here in this park?
Strangest thing. Well, I don't know about strange, but funny. I was like standing at the fountain, and we were actually like on the other side of the fountain. I was meditating with my friends, and like there was just like group of people like singing and shit like that. It was good vibe. And like this whole group of fucking like protesters like came out of nowhere and just like none of like some of them were Trump supporters, some of them were Biden supporters, some of them didn't support anyone, and like it was all confusion, you know, like nobody knew what they wanted. And like I seen this like old guy, like this old like white gay dude like yelling at these two teenage girls, and I'm like looking, his face is mad red. I'm like, yo, why's your face red? And he's like, oh, because these girls are ignorant, they need an education. I said, that's not what I asked you. And he said, what? I said, why is your face red? He's like, because I'm mad, because they're ignorant. And I said, well, you know, like, you screaming at them is gonna teach them anything? You know what I mean? And he just looked, and he stopped, and he just said, bye, I'm not talking to you. And he just opened his shirt, and he's like, gays for Trump. And I'm like, bro, I don't care, bro. I don't give a fuck what you got going on, bro. Like, Joe, just treat people with respect, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you yelling at them for? You're a grown-ass man yelling at these girls that's probably like 14, 15 years old. And you like in your late 50s, early 60s. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, I don't know. I just seen the way, like, I just observed the way people interact with others, and like I've like noticed that, yo, people are just really sick, and not saying that in a bad way, but people are sick mentally and emotionally and like hurt, you know, and like confused and just looking for answers. And like the thing about life is like you're always gonna find answers, but then every answer you get, you're always gonna question something that you found, you know, and then you're gonna keep going down that rabbit hole. And like I realized, like, yo, we don't know shit. We don't know nothing, and it's okay to not know anything, you know? Because, like, yo, just the one thing we do know is that we're breathing, living creatures, and then we should just give love, you know? So, yeah. I don't know how that ties in, but yeah.
All right, let me